Fated King is a 2 to 6 player battle royale where only one will be left standing. Each player controls a vessel and a guardian to fight within the National Summit Arena. Emerge victorious and prove to everyone that you are the Fated King.
To determine who goes first, each player will roll their 20-sided die. The turn order will go from greatest to least. People who tie must roll against each other to determine their hierarchy. In this example game, the purple and green players tied. Purple wins the tiebreaker, so the order of play is purple, green, then red. In the order determined previously, each player will roll a 6-sided die for their vessel. There can only be one of each vessel in play, so if a player rolls a number that has already been rolled, they must roll until they get a vessel that has not already been taken. In the same order, each player will take turns rolling for a guardian. As with the vessels, only one of each guardian type can be in play at the same time, so players must re-roll when necessary. In this example, each player will only have one guardian. When playing a game with multiple guardians per player, each player can only roll one guardian at a time, so the rolling process will be repeated based on the number of guardians per player. Once every player has their vessel and guardian selected, each player should create a score sheet keeping track of their character's HP, mana, and AP. After everyone has prepared, the spawning process will begin. In the reverse order in which vessels and guardians were chosen, each player will take turns choosing their spawn point. A player will do this by placing their vessel on one of the 6 spawn locations. They will then place their guardian in an adjacent space of their choosing. The first round will now begin. In the reverse order in which the players spawned in, each player will take their turn. This will be the turn order for the rest of the game. Purple player will start their turn by spending 2 AP to move their guardian 2 spaces. They will then use their remaining 1 AP to execute a ranged basic attack on red player's guardian. Red player is going to respond to purple player's attack with a defensive evasive skill. Since it is a defensive evasive skill, the defender will be able to use it before their enemy's attack executes. This skill allows their guardian to increase their defense by +5 till the beginning of their next turn. Now the attacker must roll their 20-sided die against the defenders. The attacker rolls a 12, then they add their natural attack bonus of +5 to the roll to get 17 for their attack value. The defender rolls a 16. They then add their natural defense bonus of +2, as well as their skills bonus +5 to the roll. This results in a defense value of 23. Thus, the attack does not go through. Purple player will now spend 2 AP to move their vessel 2 spaces and end their turn. Green player will now begin their turn. First, they will notice that their guardian is on a +1 mana bonus space. However, as they are currently at maximum mana, no additional mana will be gained. They will then use all of their guardian and vessel AP to move 3 and 2 spaces forward respectively. They then end their turn. Red player will now take their first turn. Because their guardian used 1 AP to use a skill prior to taking their first turn, the guardian will now have 2 out of their 3 AP for this turn. That 2 AP is used to move 2 spaces. Their vessel's 2 AP is used to also move 2 spaces. That ends red player's turn. Round 2 begins and purple player will now take their turn. They start off by fully restoring their character's AP. Purple player then spends 3 AP to move their guardian 3 spaces, and 2 AP to move their vessel 2 spaces. Black spaces on the board can be moved through, however they cannot be landed on. If a character is forced onto a black space bound by an outside force, they will instead move to the nearest occupiable space in their path. Green player takes their second turn by spending 1 AP to move their guardian to the center of the board. They will then spend 2 AP to move their vessel 2 spaces. Red player will now take their second turn. As their guardian did use some mana to activate their skill last round, they can gain the bonus +1 mana offered by the pink space. Red player will then use 2 of their guardian's AP to move right next to the green player's guardian. Then use 1 AP to move their vessel 1 space. That ends their turn. The Saber Guardian will now use their third skill, Clive Selesh, or Sword of Light, to attack a 3x12 area in front of them. This attack deals 15 damage on hit, and still does 8 damage against a successful defense. This attack is so powerful that it can only be used once per game. The green player's Guardian and Vessel will both use defensive evasive skills to avoid the attack. However, purple player is not so fortunate. While this attack does hit multiple characters, as it is an AOE attack with only one instance, the player will only need to roll once for the attack. Purple player will roll defense for their Guardian, then for their Vessel. After adding up some defense bonuses, purple player's Guardian and Vessel both manage to defend against the attack. When a Guardian is defeated, it will be removed from the board. The player who dealt the final blow will be awarded plus 3 HP and plus 5 mana to each of their Guardians. When a Vessel is defeated, the Vessel's Guardian will be defeated alongside it. The player who dealt the final blow will be awarded plus 3 HP and plus 5 mana to each of their Guardians per Guardian defeated due to the Vessel's death. When a Guardian or Vessel is destroyed, any entities it is summoned will be destroyed as well. The Mage Guardian uses their third skill, Guardian of the Core, to sacrifice 3 Mud Golems in exchange for a Super Golem. When an entity is summoned, they will have full AP and can take action accordingly. At the start of the 15th round, the Crown will spawn in the center of the map. If a Vessel is occupying the board's center space when the Crown spawns, that Vessel will automatically equip the Crown. When equipping the Crown, the Vessel will gain plus 5 max HP and mana, as well as fully restore those values. They will also gain plus 5 to their attack and defense stats. Finally, both the Vessel and their Guardians will gain plus 1 to their max AP. When a Vessel carrying the Crown is defeated, the Crown will be dropped on the space that the Vessel was occupying. When only one Vessel remains on the board, they will win the game.